Welcome to this week's Food Sports Central, the podcast of the World Food Championships. I'm, of course, your host, Mark Conway, and man, we're rolling. We're on the way to this year's WFC in Dallas, Texas. You've already heard some big news when I spoke with Mike McLeod a few days ago about the new partner, the new WFC 2.0 that involves IMG. For those of you who still haven't looked up IMG, you need to. I'm not going to go over everything about IMG with you because you need to see this for yourself to understand the magnitude, the reach, and the impact their inclusion into WFC will have, because it is far reaching. And we've seen two examples of just how far reaching very recently. We came off of the World Food Championships final table, where one of our competitors that we're going to talk to today literally found out just how far that reach is with a very long plane ride, fire, excitement, and from what I've heard, hammers. So without further ado, I want to welcome to the show barbecue champion, Sterling Smith.
Hey, Mark, how you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing good. How are you is the better question.
Oh, I'm phenomenal. I've been relaxing a little bit, having some R&R before, I get into more barbecue teaching and more events, and just came back from Australia from a phenomenal event with a Vivid Sydney. So it's been amazing, man.
So before we dive into that, and I can't wait to dive into fire and hammers and everything you had going on in Sydney, you just came off of being at final table, and you got all the way to that final round.
Fourth place.
Talk to us about your experience of final table, because this was a pretty epic final table with some of the challenges, the gauntlet you ran, but your performance was stellar all the way through. What was final table like for you?
Honestly, it was the pinnacle of my culinary career, like being able to go to that kitchen and compete with some phenomenal chefs. I mean, there's top level chefs, and to me, I honestly think I'm just a backyard barbecue guy. I still do, but to be able to compete with top level chefs who are the best in their game, to be able to have to go to the Crystal Bridges and experience that meal with chef, to go to Yayo's and have Chef Rios be able to be a judge there, and to have the judges that we saw come and be able to give us real feedback on our food, judges who know what they're talking about, judges who have a palate, judges who know how everything that we do to bring this meal, to be able to present that to them and be with these top level chefs was honestly the pinnacle of my culinary career. And I want to be there every year. I want to go back every single year because it was a phenomenal experience to be able to cook in that kitchen,
And you were a standout all the way through. And you mentioned Chef Tim Ordwell from Crystal Bridges and Chef Rios from Yayo's. Both of them are phenomenal, high level, unbelievable chefs. And you guys, really blew them away with your skill and your technique and your creativity. I mean, to go from having to replicate Chef Rios's dish, and then in that final round, having to go and create a tasting menu for Crystal Bridges, which is 5-star all over the place.
Yeah.
In a gorgeous venue. I mean, you really showed barbecue is not just a backyard grill kind of situation. Barbecue is as culinary as any food in the world.
Absolutely. And I think, honestly, if you're a chef, a cook, if you have a palate, I think you can cook any type of food. I mean, just because I'm in the barbecue category doesn't mean I can whip out amazing fried rice, which I did in the finals, to get there. But I think if you know flavors, if you know how to put that together, you're not really categorized if you know food, if you know how to put it together. One of the coolest things, though, was to see Chef John McFadden, the guy who won, by himself go in. And to me, I was just in awe of the way he cooked. Because, when you're in the kitchen, you're concentrated on you. There's nobody else around you but you, and you're doing it. So when I got to see the final three and see him cook and the other chefs, it blew me away. Like, I knew I needed to step up my game.
And I think that's one of the things we talked to him last week, and that was one of the things that he said was he loves to commune with other chefs and talk with other people and learn and teach and share knowledge, because you're right. He is a machine. He has everything mapped out to the minute. By minute 3, I should be here. By minute 7, I should be here. But I think what was really incredible is you ran all the way through the culinary gauntlet. You got to compete in every single round because you and your team really showcased those kind of skills you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think personally, from being there, saw you put barbecue on a level that some people still struggle to see it on. But you put it on a national, actually a global stage, barbecue right up next to a guy like Sean McFadden,
Yeah.
or John McFadden, who is a world class
Here.
chef.
Yeah. I mean, and to me, being able to represent the barbecue community like that and show, like I said, it's not just ribs in a box. You know, we can take it outside of that realm. We can chef it up. I love that. I love that term, chef it up. We can chef it up. We can turn it into something else. And I love cooking these days because there's no rules. You can do whatever you want. There's so many people that are just pushing the boundary and trying this and trying that. And to me, I love that about cooking because traditionally I don't like rules. I'm not a rule follower. So when it comes to cooking, man, just throw it in there. It doesn't matter if it's a burn. Oh, there's not a burn in. Oh, who says? You know, who said it? Who said it? Not me. I'll do whatever I want. So I think you're seeing a lot of that in food sport these days is people pushing that boundary, mixing things together, melding different fusions of flavors. And that's what keeps you on your toes. And that's what keeps it interesting. And that's what keeps you wanting to learn more and cook more. And to me, as not just a barbecue guy, somebody who loves food in general and loves to learn about it, that's what I love is that next step of what's it going to be, not just a brisket. Anybody can just turn a brisket. Let's flip it. Let's turn it into something amazing, phenomenal that somebody's going to remember, you know?
And I love that mentality. And that really showed through when the two chefs talked about your creativity in your dish and really surprising them with some of the things you did. What was something that for you personally you developed, you learned, you spent time on that was pushing into your own personal boundary that you did at Final Table that is now going to become a staple for you?
So what I love doing, and I do this a lot, we cook barbecue so much that we have all this. We always have extra brisket. We always have extra pulled pork. What are you going to do with that? Well, I had a sandwich yesterday. Well, let's make some enchiladas out of it today. Let's make some fried rice out of it. Let's turn it into a barbacoa. Let's make some lumpia. You know. So to me, what kind of the defining point was being able to be creative, and that's what I love with World Food Championships and the eat process is we don't have to just stay in that box, and being able to take that protein and turn it into something else, something phenomenal. Maybe not even American. I went Asian, you know, and I live in Arizona. I'm half Mexican. I flip Mexican a lot with my barbecue. So being able to turn that meat into another, I guess, flavor, another something. That's what you need to be able to do to be on this level with these chefs who are cooking these days. You got to be able to think outside the box and make it interesting like that. But I think my spin is, you know, I've been around the world. I'm a Navy vet. I've traveled a lot. I moved around America a lot. I love to travel. So, and I love to eat. You know, eating is life. So being able to taste these different flavors from all over the world and bring that back into barbecue is something that I love doing, and something that I think that kind of makes me stand out a little bit is taking those flavors and intermingle them into something that we all know. Everybody in America knows barbecue. It's on every corner. So,
100%.
but they don't know a curry. Maybe take a brisket curry. You know, a lot of people don't know that. They don't even know a brisket enchilada. You know, so being able to flip it into a different flavor in a different way, I think that's what's going to make people stand out and get to that final table. Another thing which was cool about the final table was being able to present to the judges and to tell them what you did. Because, you know, you can put it on a plate and give it to some judges in the tent who have, some of them might even know what they're eating, you know? So to be able to explain why you did it, how you did it, the reasoning behind it, you know, this is inspired by so-and-so, that takes you to another level of chefiness to be able to explain what's going on, why you did it, and how you did it, not just putting something in a box and on a plate and saying, here you go.
That's huge. And that's again, one of those things that kind of sets WFC apart from other cooking competitions are things like that. Those components of seeing new techniques used, mixing different genres of food together from the actual food itself all the way to the competitors that are involved,
Yeah.
and putting you on that playing field to do this in the same sandbox and then present to a panel of established culinary professionals that can really understand the taste, the color, the texture, the technique behind the
Yeah.
food. I mean, that's a huge opportunity, which you really did extremely well in, to the point you made it into the top three in the world, finishing behind John McFadden, who's our new reigning champ.
I
Now
was fourth. Honest. I was fourth.
you're fourth. You still, but still,
Yeah.
coming
Close.
through this,
0.2 points.
0.2 points, but coming through into this next year, you know, we have Mike made a major announcement,
Yes.
huge announcement with the working with IMG now for WFC, and that is a global approach. That is a whole nother level. It's probably the biggest move in food sport ever, is to see this kind of powerhouse behind it. And we got to see a preview, we'll say a taste, an appetizer of what's to come by you and Preston, the previous world champion, went out to do taste events of Taste of London with Preston, and you did Taste of Sydney in Australia, and you got to already kind of see the impact that IMG is making into this new venture.
Yes. It's the I got to tell you that fire kitchen at Vivid Sydney was one of the most unbelievable things I've witnessed. There's animals hanging. There's fire going off. There's crowds everywhere. Barbecue is on your right, on your left. It's smoky, and we had some of the best barbecue people presenting. We had Adam Roberts from Australia, legend, cookbook author, founder of the Australian Barbecue Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
He was our fire maintainer. We had a set of chefs helping us out. We had Chris Chops Taylor from the UK presenting with hammers and fire and flare. And the crowds were unbelievable. The way they set up that event, the way the people came through, just the way it was organized, and everything was top tier. It was a phenomenal experience, and be able to go out and represent America and the World Food Championships and barbecue in general in front of these crowds for 2 days and cooking samples. It was an amazing experience to be able to get through that, and World Food Championships definitely helped parlay into that. But being able to work with that group, IMG, and to hopefully in the future do more events, it was a great experience. And I mean, I this is what we do. I mean, at this point, I think in my career, I mean, I do a lot of demos, I host stages, and I teach classes. So to be able to do that on a major stage in Sydney, Australia, at Vivid Sydney, one of the hugest events of the year they have, was amazing. And I love to work with that group, and I love to work with them more.
And I think I don't even want to say we're seeing the tip of the iceberg. I still think that tip of the iceberg is at the distance, because we haven't fully seen the impact this is going to have. But to right off the bat, I mean, right after final table, right off the bat, you're going to Sydney, Preston's going to London, and we barely even got our feet wet of
Yeah,
what's to come. And with WFC coming up in November, I think we're going to see even more of that impact. And I think
absolutely.
between now and November, there's going to be more news and things coming out. So it's hard not to be really excited for what WFC November is going to look like.
Yeah, and honestly, with that announcement and with what comes with that, he talked about television, celebrity
Mm-hmm.
status. There's a lot of things that can come from that. I think we're going to start seeing a lot more influx of people into the World Food Championships who want to get to that level, who want to be the next food star or TV star or whatever and show their skills. But there's a lot of eyes on it right now, and it's, to me, once you have more people involved, the competition arises. You're going to have to be on your game. You're going to have to be top notch. So it's getting to that point. And I was at the finals last year, sous chef and Mike Johnson, and I got to witness kind of the whole rundown of how it works, and be able to finals myself this past year. I definitely knew that I needed to kick up my culinary game, because the chefs that get to that point are elite chefs who know exactly what they're doing, that have done it. They're they're pros in their career. They're professionals, you know. So I realize that at this point we all need to step it up a notch because it's just that the competition is going to get tougher and tougher,
And I
and
think that's what we
it
want.
should.
Yeah, that's what you want. If you win,
Yeah,
you want to win against the best in the world. And
absolutely.
additionally, this past year was the most global we've ever been.
Yeah,
We had competitors from all over the world competing, making the top 10. And now you're going to, like you said, I think we're going to see the competition get stiffer. Everybody's
absolutely.
skills are going to get better. And we're going to have less competitors per category, and less people are going to make that final round.
Yeah,
So I think you're right. It's all going to be about how do you elevate? How do you evolve to the next level to
absolutely.
become that much better year over year?
Yeah, and you have to these days, especially in that. And I don't want to take anything away from barbecue because I love barbecue. You know,
Mhm.
I've been doing it 16 years, barbecue comps, but to me, it kind of gets static. You know, you kind of almost do the same thing over and over. You rinse and repeat. And there's minor changes here and there. But with World Foods, is it's constantly evolving. It's you
Mhm.
have to constantly evolve and change and learn to be on their top in World Foods because you're getting the best of the best. And we witnessed it this past year in finals, seeing John win because that was
Mhm.
just a feat of, I mean, greatness watching him cook. You know,
It was. Now,
yeah.
here's a fun question for you. With the way you're really pushing those boundaries in different types of food and cuisine and techniques, have you ever thought of competing at WFC in any other category besides barbecue?
You know, I've actually thought about that. You know, going into this next round, I quickly thought about it for 7 seconds, and I said, "No, I'm a barbecue guy. It's in my blood. It's my soul. It's what I do. It's what I know. It's and even though I like to push boundaries, I'm smart.
Yep.
You know, I mean, you still gotta know your role. You still gotta know what you're competent, what you're good in. What when we get to if I get to the finals, to me, that's when I can flip it. You know, I know what I know right now, and to me, if I'm gonna be consistent and I want to get to the finals, then I'm gonna cook barbecue because bro, I do it well.
Yes, you
But
do.
once I get to the finals, then let's go. Then it's open game. You know, we saw it this past year. The finals wasn't barbecue. It wasn't recipe. It wasn't rice. It wasn't noodles. It wasn't steak. It was cooking. You
Right.
know, you got to get in that finals and cook. So when if and hopefully when I do, that's when I can start pushing boundaries. But to me, I'm gonna stick to what I know in barbecue. I'm gonna make it work. You know.
I
I
like
would
it.
love to cook in another category, but I think I have to qualify, right?
I mean, you're the reigning world barbecue champion. So you're looking for you to defend that title. What are you doing between now and November to educate, evolve, get better?
Yes, absolutely. So this actually later today, I'm flying out to Naval Base Ventura, California, with a group called Firefest, which I love cooking with, and we go to military bases and we work with their MWR office, and we put on a mini barbecue comp, and I teach, you know, usually a brisket, something like that, to active duty military. So to me, working with the military and doing that group is phenomenal. I love doing that kind of stuff. And every time I go out and I just be able to teach and explain, that's keeping me fresh too, because you know, I'll cook a brisket while I'm there. After that, I have two classes. I'm teaching one here in Glendale, Arizona. I have one in Florida, Make a Bite Barbecue, teaching with my buddy Fergalicious. We're teaching a chicken and brisket class. After that, I got a competition in Lubbock, Texas at the Red Red event. Um, I got the American Royal coming up. I got another event with Firefest in Lemoore, California. And then I'm doing a Saluting with Smoke event with another veteran group where I'm coaching a Navy team and through a barbecue process. So along the way, I got classes. I got a couple comps in there. But, you know, when I have this idle time and I'm free at home, I'm here in my kitchen just playing with stuff, burning meat, making stuff like a lot of stuff doesn't work. A lot of it does, you know, but I
Mhm.
love playing around with things. So I'm going to stay fresh with classes and events and, you know, hoping to get to the finals again, man. I got to be a repeat barbecue champion. I don't think there's been one.
No, and then, that's something that we want to see. The fans want to see all these competitors get to know you guys. And on that note, where can people follow your barbecue journey all the way to World Foods again?
Yeah, Loot and Booty Barbecue on Facebook. On Instagram, it's at Loot and Booty Barbecue. All my rubs, sauces, books. I have a couple books out, merch available on www.lootandbootybbq.com.
Well, guys, that gives you somebody else to follow. At the same time, make sure that you're following the World Food Championships on Facebook and Instagram, and bookmark the website, www.worldfoodchampionships.com. Because, like I said, you saw the big announcement from Mike and I a few days ago. More is coming. And if you want to stay up on things like tickets, registrations, where do I qualify, all of those questions you have, you can find on the website. And then, of course, breaking news throughout social media. Sterling, it's been a pleasure to have you on today.
Thanks for having me, Mark. Had a great time.
It's been a blast. And guys, see you next week.